Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shmayo. This is the MeWe Metaphysics and Wellness Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm excited today to be here with Viana Fox. Viana, it's great to be with you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So what do you
Yes,
do? Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about what I wanted to share, and my what came up was that I wanted to find out from people what is their universal function, and wondering if people do know what their universal function is. And this is all in connection with being connected to the subtle beings, the angels and the she and the divas and all the different subtle beings that are around us all the time that people aren't aware of. And what I love doing is helping people to connect with their subtle beings and learn how to be fully embodied, because that is one of the main reasons, or one of the main ways to connect, is to be fully embodied. And so I teach people how to be fully embodied. And yeah.
Well, what did you call it in the beginning? Do people know their
Universal function.
I
Is
think
it?
about like life purpose and soul purpose. Is it related to that?
Yes.
Is it something in addition to that? Like, is there more subtlety or other aspects?
I wonder. I've just known it as a, a universal function.
Maybe is
And
that the language that they share it with you? The subtle beings share it with you? Like, how do you know it in that way? Is it another teaching?
it was in another teaching. So that term 20 years ago, I learned that I've always had a hard time connecting to the words God and Buddha and Allah, because I wasn't raised in any religion. And then I learned to call it the universal intelligence. And so that's what I think of as God, is the universal intelligence. And the universal intelligence gave us a function before we were born
Okay, yes, yes. Great, great.
that we
Well,
agreed to.
well, I'm so curious about how this all started for you, and then how how did you discover that embodiment is so important to this? And yeah.
Um, well, I've been reading about the she for a number of years, and I
And,
reread
and I
again.
just, how is she spelled?
Sidhe,
Okay.
and it's Gaelic, and they are the fairies um, from the Gaelic background. And they've been around for thousands of years, way before us. And that they're really not a whole lot different than we are, but they're just not as dense.
So you said you've been
And
reading about them, and
yes, and so I've been rereading just to refresh my memory, because I read about them a number of years ago. And one of the main ways to connect with the subtle beings is to become fully embodied and allow ourselves to be aware on all the different levels, not just what we can see, but what we can feel. And learning how to feel that from a very deep place. And so, like, if you're walking in nature, you first see, you see the trees, you see the ground, you see the flowers, or whatever it is that you see. Then, if you allow yourself to become fully embodied, then you start seeing with your senses. You start feeling, you start being aware on a whole different level. And that's one of the ways you connect with the subtle beings. And people who are very visual may see something, could be very transparent, but they don't make themselves visual unless it's unless they choose to.
Mhm.
And I'm just aware of them. I mean, I communicate with them all the time. I've had experiences where I was very distressed. They make themselves more visible when I'm very, very distressed.
Mm.
And one time I was extremely distressed. It was like I was just feeling like totally giving up. And I went to do my lap swimming, which I have done a lot in my life. And then all of a sudden, I felt my guardian angel's wings, and I saw them as I was swimming through the water. I saw the wings had completely enveloped me, and my guardian angel held me the whole time I was swimming. And then when I got out of the pool, I didn't see or feel it anymore, but I just felt like I was reborn. It's like I was totally in a different place. I was connected to my heart, and the love, just loved everything and everybody and me. Um, and that's when they show themselves, is for me, is if I'm really stressed, and then, oh, well, we're going to show you that we're helping
Yeah.
you.
When did you first become aware that you were connecting with subtle beings? They were connecting with you?
I think I have been all my life. When I was a child, I didn't know what to call them, but I always felt safer when I was alone in nature.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I would just talk, I'm very auditory and kinesthetic, so I would just talk to them, I have ongoing conversations all the time. And I would just talk to them, and I just felt like they were my friends. So if people really want to know about their guardian angel, I recommend Lorna Burns' books. Her first book is called Angels in My Hair. And she is from Ireland. And she was, as a tiny baby, the angels were coming to her. And she was very dyslexic. And so she just had a horrible time functioning in society and in school. But the angels told her, and they really let her see all the different angels, Archangel Michael and Jesus and all these angels. And they said, you are going to school with us. Don't worry about the rest. We are going to train you. And they trained her all her life. And they said, and you are going to write about this. And she says, I can't write and I can't read. How can I do that? And they said, don't worry about it. We'll tell you when, and we'll tell you what to write. And I think she was in her 60s when she finally wrote the books.
Hmm.
And Angels in My Hair is the first one. And that's when after reading that book, I read that book, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. Then I realized that that it was my guardian angel that I was communicating with. I hadn't put a name on it because I just hadn't. But I'm going to make out a bibliography and have it available at the fair so people can just grab a page or take a picture of the page so that they can read about all of this. As far as the epigenetics, Mark Wolin, It Didn't Start With You, is a book that tells you about how you learn about your epigenetics and how it has affected you.
Can I come back to, I want to come back to you a little bit more. Is that all right?
Sure.
So I'm imagining, and tell me like this is wrong, like let's get this. So you've been connecting with subtle beings since you were a child, and you've always been someone, as you said, that's you are naturally more embodied, right? You care so much about embodiment, and you're right, so very feeling emotionally attuned. So somewhere on your path, you got very interested in embodiment and learning more tools and skills for embodiment to work with you and then to work with other people. So how did that arise?
Okay, the first part was I've had scoliosis all my life, and my upper body was disconnected from my lower body because of places in my spine that were locked. And I got connected to the movement intelligence in 2009, and I started learning the programs on how to move more intelligently and how your brain connects to your movement patterns. And I was able to unlock my spine, and so that I could really feel embodied. I mean, I was embodied on a certain level, not so much on a physical level, but after studying the movement intelligence, then I became more embodied on the physical level. And then in 2013, I was introduced to the fundamental consciousness realization process and started studying that. And it's a type of meditation where you have to be fully embodied to be able to really experience it. And that was the missing link, because in the meditation, you learn how to quiet your mind, and you learn how to really be still within yourself, and you learn how to be transparent so that all this stuff that bombards you just passes right through. And you learn how to untangle yourself from experiences or people that you're totally tangled up with.
And so somewhere in here, you started learning these tools to teach other people, right? You started working with other
Oh, yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So just want to say a little bit about that.
Well, because I've been a massage therapist, which I have just recently this year retired from, for the last 45 years, I call it mind body work because it was way more than massage. So, now where was I going with that? Remind me.
I say at some point you started teaching people about embodiment. And so
Oh, right. So as soon as I started learning the movement intelligence, I immediately started teaching it to my clients. And then I went through Ruthie Alon is the one that created movement intelligence, and it came out of Feldenkrais. And I went through all of her programs. She has 4 programs, and became certified so that I could teach it. And then I became a trainer so I could teach people how to teach it
Okay, great, great. So you
because I
great.
loved it so much. And I just thought, I mean, I all my life, all my massage life, I never finished anything that I learned enough to become certified because I got what I wanted and then I would quit. But this program, I went through the whole thing and I started doing it in 2009 and I finally finished in 2016. And I just thought, okay, this is one that I'm going to become fully certified in.
Well, let's come back to you in a different way. So you've been connecting with
Okay.
subtle beings all your life, and they've supported you when you needed support. I'm imagining that they also provided insight for you in your career path and working with people. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
Do you want to say a little bit
Because,
about that? Yeah.
well, I've always my partner and I, when I was connected with her, she retired before I did. We called our center where we worked the somatic center. And and to us that meant we were transforming the person through the whole living body. So in order to do that, we had to learn all the different aspects, the emotional aspect, the spiritual aspect, the physical aspect. And I took it further because I wanted to learn about diet. I mean, I've been studying nutrition for years. I've been studying herbology for years. And because I felt that I've never been able to handle any kind of drugs, medications.
Yeah.
And
Super
so I
sensitive.
had to
Yeah.
learn how to take care of myself. And so I take care of myself through my diet and herbs and movement and everything.
Mhm. Well, so say a little more about how the subtle beings have supported you in working with other people. They may have done it explicitly where you knew, it may have been happening in ways you weren't paying attention to or focused on.
Um, I always felt that I was just being guided the whole time I was working. It wasn't me. And once I learned that I could not have an agenda when I'm working with somebody, I had to completely let go of my agenda so that I could receive the messages and the guidance from, and now I understand it. It was from my subtle beings, from my guardian angel. I was receiving the guidance, but that's the way I work. And I never know when I get together with somebody. I mean, I have an idea, but I never know when I get together with somebody exactly what I'm going to do because I need to connect with the person I'm working with and then have the guidance come through.
Great. It's great. And so probably most people have come to you to work on embodiment because of struggles with their body, their physical body. Some people maybe have come to you directly to work on spiritual aspects. I don't know. But like, how do you think about
A
all that now?
spiritual,
And yeah, go ahead.
yeah, spiritual and emotional people have come to me. And I'm also um, um, minister with the Universal Life Church, and I, officiate weddings and counsel and all of that.
Great.
So it's like I feel like when I work with somebody, I'm working with the whole person. I'm not just working with individual parts.
Mhm, mhm. Well, so if you, because I know you've recently had more awareness of what you're doing or more sharing of what you're doing. If you if you can work with someone in the ways that you most love, like the people would come to you for the things that you're most passionate about, what are those? What is that? Like, how would you be working with them?
I I would suggest that we help them become fully embodied because most people are out here, they're not in their body. They're somewhere out here or they're only relating from here up. You know, they may be in their body from here up, but they're not in their feet. They're not connected to the earth. And it's very difficult to get see, how can I put it? To get the messages from within. I've always felt that it was more important for me to help people learn how to help themselves, how to take care of themselves. And so, since I'm not massaging anymore, I'm teaching people how to massage themselves. Because if we don't take care of our body, I mean, our body is like our temple. And we need to really take care of our temple because that's where we live. And so it's whatever the person needs to be able to take care of their body so that they feel like they're living in their temple. And it's really happy and clean and and learning how to love themselves, and let go of all the criticism and judgment and everything. And that's all so much a part of being a healthy person and being able to connect with other people. I mean, if we don't connect with ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, then how can we really connect with somebody else and really love them? So those things to me are really important to offer to other people. But I am open to what the person wants, and I am aware that it's important to take the person from where they are to where they can go and not overwhelm them, because
Yeah.
it's so easy. You know, I've been through all these things and I want to share everything, you know, and I get all excited. But I have learned that I listen to the person and then I see where they're at. And then I get guidance as to, okay, what's the best way to help this person get to where they want to be?
And you mentioned earlier that embodiment is so important for connecting with subtle beings and for connecting with our guardian angel. Have you also explicitly taught that to people? Is it something that you're wanting to
Yeah.
do more of?
Oh, yeah. And that's through the realization process, the fundamental conscious. It's a type of meditation, but it's a meditation through the body. It's a becoming fully embodied in the meditation. So I teach people, I guide people through the fully embodied meditation practices. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned, so some people come to your work for physical, emotional, spiritual things, struggles or problems. Some people, because they simply want to get more embodied and more fully connected, maybe for spiritual reasons. I imagine some people, as they learn more about the subtle being connection through you and the meditation process you use, want to connect with subtle beings and connect with their guardian angel. So all these different reasons why people might work with you.
And I have people come to me to help them talk to their animals. I've been whispering, they call it animal whispering, but I've had people ask me to help them with their talk to their animals or find out what's going on. And that's all part of the whole thing.
They're other beings. So we can
There
all
are other
connect with each other.
beings. There are so many other beings out there. There's the underbuddies. The underbuddies are all these little beings, and they don't talk to you, you know, like the guardian angel and the she. They're just they get in mischief if you don't employ them. And so they're everywhere. So what they like to do is have a job, and their job is to shift the energy of wherever you ask them to shift the energy. So I use the subtle beings to shift the energy in my space. And, you know, I say, okay, go to work and bring your joy and your, because they're so funny. They just laugh, and they're full of energy. And but when they get into mischief, they'll start cause things to not work in your house. And you wonder, why did that stop working? So they're another subtle being. And there's techno beings. If you're having trouble with your computer, then you call the techno beings to start working, changing the energy around your computer.
Yes. Oh, well, is there anything else about how you work and why you work with people that we haven't covered that you want to share?
Um, well, I have been clearing spaces. Um, People have hired me to clear the stuck energy in their home. And one time I was working with a friend of mine. She wanted to be a part of it, and so we did it together. I like doing it with the family so that the family can be a part of it. But um, there have been times when there's been people call them ghosts, but they're really stuck spirits, you know. And so I'll talk with the spirit and ask them what they need so that they can just move on and not stay stuck in the dwelling.
Yeah.
And you know, just help to break up the stuck energy. And I do it. I like doing it with sound. I create I have a crystal bell and different sound really works. I've used other means, but I like the sound the best because we're all made of sound. And so the sound, if it's the right kind of sound, will just break it up really easy. I mean, there's other ways it's hard to describe. I don't know if I can describe it in words.
No,
A
it's
lot of
great.
what
It's,
I'm
yeah.
saying is really simple, but there's so much more to it that have no words.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this interview, wondering, okay, now how can I put all this stuff into words?
I think you're doing a great job giving some subtleties of all the layers and the interconnections between things. So I think giving lots of ways that people can find their way in and be more aware of all that's happening and all that you could support them with.
Well, and also through scents, I work with essential oils. I suggest different oils, like I always have, like here, I have my sage. If I feel like I need a little lift, I'll smell my sage, and um, there's just so many different ways that I've learned of how you can help yourself.
Yes. Well, if people want to find out more about you, is there a place on the web where they go? How do they connect with you?
Yes, there's my website, my name, Viana, V as in Victor, N as in Nancy, A dash motion, MOTION.com.
Okay, great.
And I
Viana-motion.com.
can give my phone number too.
Whatever you want to have public, you're welcome to share.
206-799-1052.
Great. I'm excited to know more of what you do and so excited to have you sharing your work in our community.
It's so interesting that I'm a newbie in these fairs because I've always just kind of worked with whoever my clients were. But now that I've retired from massage, I have to find a new avenue to connect with people. So it's new for me to be talking about all this because I've just been doing it without thinking about advertising it or talking about it. It just happens when I'm with my clients. So now I have to learn how to talk about it.
It's great. Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's been lovely being with you, Viana.
I love being with you too.
Thank you. And for all of you listening and watching, you can find out about all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. See you soon.